Listening to you guys come up here, you guys want to talk about how you're being honest and you're speaking from the heart. Not one of you people that come here and speak without a freaking script in your hands, word for word reading it. You got a mayor that tells an American citizen that he cannot be welcome in Dearborn, Michigan if he doesn't want a damn terrorist on the name of a street. You got members on the board over there laughing at American citizens when they're concerned about Sharia law and the Muslims that are telling us we're going to take over your city. We have Hassan Piker saying we're going to do things to your women. And we're saying, oh, this is peaceful? That you people came here to give us peace? You guys came here to conquer us. This is the Crusades all over again. You're going to think you're going to take this country without firing a shot? How about this? How about the American citizens say, no, you're not going to do this. We're going to stand up. We're going to tell you, everybody here, from felons to normal people, Bible thumpers, little grannies everywhere. Tell this Muslim invasion, you're not going to happen in the United States of America, not while Christian crusaders are standing here blocking you. And that's all I got to say.
What we're looking at now is an example of fake news, disinformation. In some cases, it's made by artificial intelligence. So we'll go ahead and read that here in a minute. So you can see, this is not a real website. This is what was being done back in 2014 or 15. Now, take note that I'm not freaking out right now. Take note that I'm being real calm, okay? Because this is what I foresaw. And so by being calm, there's not only insight with this, but other things.
We shouldn't just both like chase each other around.
And so you can actually tell by the writing that this is not a professional, real article from a real journalist. Okay, and then you're going to see this. You're going to see this type of stuff. And then it's being recommended here on my profile. And I'm not even a follower of Daily UK Insight. Not even a follower. And then so you'll look also here, and I just want to make many of these look like real people, but you'll also see a lot of bots that are not real people. You can click on the profile and see that it was made by AI, so it's not a real human being making a decision. This is from June 30th in Dublin. Okay, let's go ahead and...
You fucking country! Go back to your fucking country! I burned down a mosque in Parliament Street! Go back to your fucking country! We don't want Islam in this country! Do you understand? Animals!
Just want to note that I've actually been avoiding most of this news, the videos that is, in the last couple of months as I've been living my life. But now we're starting to look at it. So this is another one, News GB Dane, more fake news.
Chippy! Can I have a handful of chips? Well, what? No, bro. I swear. Hey, I want that one. It's 15.
And while this is being consumed, this article, we'll go ahead and look at it together. We'll go ahead and bring up some audio to listen to. But if we look over here at my boy, as they would say, he is not addressing these things. You know, he has really great content. I highly recommend him as a Sufi so you can understand the spiritual side of that world. Please take a look at the headlines. Please read the headlines, especially My Girls in Sedona. And you take a look at this type of stuff, what he's really being promoted. And you know what? I want you to look at these thumbnails. It is a lot like what we're doing. We're a lot like them. They're a lot like us. We have more in common. Look at the title here, Energy War. Let's go ahead and listen to that right now and think about what that's saying.
We are not contained in the body. We emanate. But the strongest feel is the one anchored in Muhammad's sun. When not just skin what feels the blaze, currents moving through our days. Science measure outer ways, but deeper currents can't be gauged. Step outside the chocolate light, feels attract from every side. If you glow, they recognize something living energized. Only house with power bright, in a darkened neighborhood. Every wire pulling tight, trying to drink from your light. Not their fault, is how it's made. Dunya built on give and take. If you weak, your charge will fade. If you strong, protect the gate.
99 run low inside, 1% let ego die. Build your him up, purify, walk the prophetic stride. Guard the heart, protect the core. Good deeds raising voltage more. Character, what he restores. Sunnah is the power source.
It's an energy war.
Guard your battery.
When you move, they move to you.
That's the gravity.
Negative will pull your light, eh?
Automatically.
Anchored to Muhammad's law.
That's stability.
Energy war. Spiritual strategy.
In my high ego die, move with
Parody. He walked through storms of hate and fire. Yet his mercy climb higher. Never fed the pulling wire. Never let his charge expire. Tap stones and wounded skin. Still forgiveness pouring in. That's the voltage from within. That's how real strength begin. If they curse, respond with calm. If they push, remain with cyber. That restraint is living balm. That's the prophetic armor on this. Like fields will intertwine. Negative they try to bind, but silo I realign. Recalibrate the inner shine.
guard your light.
Protect your soul.
When darkness pull, don't let it win. Stay anchored deep within.
We charged up, not backing down. Son of living in this town. Mercy everywhere to crown. Character the real surround. Voltage high, heart awake. Every move for Allah's sake. Negative can't penetrate. When intention elevate, not hiding from the fight. Just understand and lie. When feels collide or not. We stand up.
You can't hide from the field, it's the nature of this life. But with Sunnah as your shield, you turn pressure into light. He will send his mercy wide, peace and blessings amplified. Not becoming light, he shine as the best of humankind.
Energy war.
Guard your battery.
When you move, they move to you. That's the gravity. Energy war. Strategy. Hit my strong heart, long arm on humility.
So, in McKinney, Texas, things are heating up here. We can see that there was an incident in McKinney where a former mayor was grabbed, and then a piece of paper was stuffed down his shirt during a heated city council hearing. And again, all this is taking place during this eclipse season.
And for whatever reason, I don't know why, I made the assumption that she was coming over to greet me fondly, nicely. She just was looked like an older grandmother type, and for some reason I thought she's going to come over and give me a hug, and so her hand came at me, and she of course pushed a paper into me, and then grabbed my shirt with her other hand, started pushing this paper down my chest and saying some nasty things. I realized then this was not a hug, not a friendly one at that. And so I was taken back a bit, didn't expect it. But quite frankly, I looked at her with pity, and I left there literally thinking, wow, I've got to pray for that woman. She needs to find her better self in a really great way. But
This is not true. This is not true. They do not say that. You can see what's on the screen. Okay, and this isn't true in Portland, Oregon either. If it was true in Portland, Oregon, they would be in Portland, Oregon, and you would be reading incidents in Portland, Oregon involving that demographic. And that demographic, for example, would be in Portland, Oregon, causing wreckage, havoc, crime, and mayhem. All those things are happening, but not from those. From that LA gangster criminal element that came up from California, and they are the ones that invaded Portland. That's why I am here in Colorado. So it's very important that you see this. You could say that they are part of the demographic of some of the people that might be reading my newsletter and consuming my content, for example, because it's so outside the box and I'm so different, as a result of coming from my father, that I don't really feel that people want to help me or feel like they should. And so it's from my experience and others living in different places, never seeing like this particular demographic with that demographic, that I know that this is a falsehood. And that, in fact, there would be a lot of pressure for the American white woman to not be with somebody who's going to lower their status. And so 10 years ago, I made the prediction that previously where they were nice, now they're not, plus the allegations of violence against women and rape really is something that frightens them. And if a particular group, for example, brown people, Afghan people, Syrians, are already marginalized a certain way, they're not really going to be one to buck that system. And I'm actually going to keep going. All of their current problems with white men in America, I see actually being diverted and blamed on still others that are not actually their dads and their brothers and the ones causing these wars. In my attempts to reach this demographic in person, in Salida, in Crestone, and the New Age variant, and my mother, they are not having it. It isn't hateful of me to my mother and others to talk about how they're not having it, how they're not having a conversation with me about the concerns that I have for the future of America. I am seen as a conspiracy theorist. Now, I see this demographic, though, being closer with conspiratorial type thinking when it's their own people. Far-right activist Jack Lang spoke at Dearborn City Council meeting while a mob of supporters protested outside. This is from Fox 2 Detroit. Meanwhile, a resident showed up to the podium challenging Lang to a fight to raise money for the city. Well, the people that are actually challenging those to a fight is Lang and his group. It's only natural that people would desire to defend themselves. From hidden fear to record highs, the sustained escalation. All right, so let's go from hidden fear to record highs, the sustained escalation of anti-Muslim hatred plaguing London. Look how I have to keep my voice down, that I care about those people. Look how I have to be alone. Look how I don't have a home. Misinformation, AI bots, the rise of the far right are all contributing to anti-Islamic sentiment in the capital. So AI bots, they are talking about the AI bots. You see, these are all things that I've talked about for years, and everything that I'm saying seems to be falling on deaf ears. But I do want those of you receiving my podcast to consider working with me to expose these things, or a special report. You don't have to be in the dark. You don't have to let these other organizations cover the big stories. You can work with me, and we can cover the story. Stand by. Advised to stay behind closed doors, many waited and hoped for the best as wave of anti-immigration demonstrations and riots took place across the UK following a horrific attack. Misinformation had spread around the identity of the attacker with high-profile figures from the far right, initially alleging that it was a Islamist migrant. So it turns out that was not even true. Despite the police's best interest to quell speculation, the horse had bolted. We're going to go back to watching videos here. But this was the scene in August 2024, and I can guarantee if we look at the solar activity at that period in August 2024, it's probably going to be pretty active. Somehow, social media is pulling the strings emotionally with the things that are being put out there in conjunction with celestial events. It is synchronized. Here's this guy. A top U.S. exorcist said many UFOs may be demons. Then he apologized fast after the church removed him. Interesting individual, interesting channel. Claims of intensified propaganda from this group. But when you look at Alex Jones's content years ago and in the past, they were exposing these groups as being products of the intelligence community, and only in a few years have changed. Literally, like, it was 2012, turned to 2013, turned to 2014, turned to 2015, turned to 2016. The narrative changed polarities. A moment that stood out to me at the protest was the cross being kissed as a gesture of peace.
You know where our truck is? You know where the car is? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I got that. Is this area from this street to the last part?
We talked about Nick Fuentes on the newsletter a couple months ago, saying that when they seize power, that they will put American women in the gulags. They said it. Okay, and then we continue to see people like Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, and others continue to promote him, and then he had dinner with the president. But people are going to look over that. They're going to look over what he said. And that is just amazing. Continuing on here. Blue Lives Matter. Where are all the feminists now? Oh boy. That women captured war become slaves can be sexually used because the Quran makes it allow. So they keep pushing this and they keep pushing this. And then you have people in law enforcement thinking this way. Again, Blue Lives Matter, people that support the police. And yet you have a lot of people that are not well educated, that are here in America, that are immigrants, that think that they can turn to the police now. You can't. You actually have to just get away from trouble. Unfortunately, that's the situation that a lot of people are in. And I dealt with a lot of, we'll just keep reading, a lot of people that believe that it was sinful or wrong to consume my content from their worldview. And that's not true at all. But that was the perspective that they had. So they are acting like they are basically at war by their existence being here, putting them out of, taking them out of context. And then we try to determine how many of you are even human or AI. Because a great deal of them are AI bots. But however, it's difficult to determine who is real in AI when AI has influenced so many. Here's another one. Okay, and they're going by appearance. I'm telling you, in the modern day and age, they cannot necessarily discern between somebody who's maybe ethnic, who's a Buddhist, who's a Gnostic, who's a New Ager, who's a feminist, and somebody who's one of them. There's no discernment, and that's what you need to understand. They keep talking about and misrepresenting feminist America as being in support of them, and that's not true. And that's the type of thing that leads to misogyny and other things. I also want to show you 22 people were arrested during the event in Dearborn. Okay, so we're just looking for any updates, and the last update would be July 21st, and it relates to whoa, you see that? Trump's new plan for children terrifies policy experts. Looks like human trafficking. Wants to pay unaccompanied migrant children as young as 14 to abandon their legal claims and leave the country, routing the money to an unspecified adult with no child-centered safeguards in the contract. An immigration lawyer calls it human trafficking. There's nobody's asking about AI. David Icke Live, alternative media equals New World Order agenda. Guy Anderson, Royal Family Secrets. Well, he's got Alex Jones there with Pinocchio behind him. He's got Joe Rogan on the left with Pinocchio behind him. So that's interesting. But he plays both sides. He breaks up with Alex Jones, then he gets back in bed with Alex Jones. I don't know if a lot of people won't wake up on the so-called left. There's plenty of people that aren't a part of a left, but they'll see themselves as a part of a political opposition that will then save them from themselves. And so they'll continue to think that certain ideas or conspiracy theories aren't real because they're waiting for a new hero to save them. And it's going to continue. It will be their solution to him and the solution to the next one. Until, of course, people pull themselves away from societies that are too overshadowed or overly overshadowed by external saviorship theology. So like I said, there's the co-opted New Age movement, but there's some awesome stuff there. And spiritual teachings in Buddhist temples here in Crestone. And then you have people giving their power and energy away to people that are players, essentially, which we've been discussing. But the same thing goes for this world. And I've been watching in horror, as I've seen something that I've been a part of so deeply and known people for so many years turn into basically a circus and a sideshow. Finally, David Icke says a lot of wonderful things, yet he himself has entertained a lot of this nonsense. And it is a headache, and it's frustrating seeing them continue to talk like they have the answers while not walking back certain positions that they've had. Most of all, Icke, of all people, should understand that those at the top of the pyramid of this New World Order control the flow of people through the wars of migration. Thus, they can think tank 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, 50 years ahead, and plan for a social disaster, which we see right now before us in Europe, which they want now in America, which doesn't have to happen, but they're creating it through the technology that they own, that they control.